the top 15 greatest point guard of all time. I do not have him in my top 10. I do not have him in my top 10. I don't have CP3 ranked above Russell Westbrook. Like, did CP3 do a lot of things, change the franchise, win a lot of games and things? Yes, absolutely. I would never take that away from him. Since he was drafted with the New Orleans Pelicans, he changed that franchise. They were a winning organization, right? He goes to the Clippers, winning organization. Goes to the Phoenix Suns, winning organization. But when it comes down to rankings, you got to check those boxes and you got to have those accolades. And when I say accolades, yes, championships or finals MVP, obviously, but CP3 don't have one MVP. And I'm not trying to be critical of him. I'm not trying to downplay his career. CP3, the point guard, we came out of high school together. I battled against him in the AAU tournament, in the AAU system as a youngster. Much love, much respect. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's just top 15 greatest point guards of all time in my eyes. He's not in the top 10.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into the rankings. I'm just going to say this. There is a class, there's a tier. You think of where Rondo might be, where Derrick Rose might be, and a lot of his career was cut short, but he has an MVP and kind of, they talk about those prime Derrick Roses, where you start to look at like a Kyrie and what he's accomplished over his career, right? So when you start to look at it, I think there's like the Mount Rushmore is what I like to say. There's the Mount Rushmores of kind of modern day, and that's Magic. I would say John Stockton. I would put Isaiah Thomas in that. And then, again, everybody can fill out the rest of their stuff. And then I think there's another tier. That's where you get into the Chauncey Billups. That's where you get into, a Kyrie. That's where you get into a Rondo. That's where you get into a Russell Westbrook. That's where you get into a Chris Paul. These guys that are like, I think all of these guys are in the exact same kind of class.
Breaks, period. But Perk, I'm going to give you a chance to explain yourself here, sir, because I cannot get on board with this one, my friend.
Well, what is it to explain when you talk about the all-time greats, right? I mean, it's a toss-up if you want to throw in John Stockton when it comes down to all-time point guards, right? I think you got to have some type of, of validation to get in the top 10, right? In my top 10, I have John Stockton, I have Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Gary Payton, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Steph Curry, right? Bob Cousy. And when you look at 9 out of these 10, they either have a championship or they have multiple MVPs or MVP, except for John Stockton, but he's the all-time leader in assists. So I couldn't put CP3 above him, but CP3 is in my top 15. I think he's in that range of when you talk about a guy like Chauncey Billups, who just went to the Hall of Fame. When you look at a guy like Rajon Rondo, who might be knocking at the door of being in the Hall of Fame, that's why I put CP3 at.
Dave, Mark?
I mean, listen, there's only one guy that you mentioned that had more All-NBA selections than Chris Paul, and that's Bob Cousy. As you also alluded to, number 2 all-time in assists, number 2 all-time in steals. And listen, this isn't any shade at any other guys we'd take off the list, but Chris Paul, he has to be stamped as a top 10 point guard. It's Perk, I mean, when you think about point guard and the responsibilities of that player, organizing the offense, being a consistent voice, being a leader, having the ability to not only score himself but set up for others, play point of attack defense. He's one of the best guys when it comes to steals in NBA history. That is Chris Paul to a T, and being an extension of the coach on the floor. I mean, he has to be a top 10 point guard. I'm sorry.
And also, Chris is pound for pound. He's not the tallest guy in the world either, so you got to keep that in mind. He doesn't have Jason Kidd or Magic's height and size. But being second all-time, Perk, I love you, my dog. Second all-time in assists and steals.
Yeah.
That's both ends of the court.
Yep.
So I think that I'll move Cousy out of there. I know you're a Boston guy. I get that. I'm gonna move. Cousy only played against 7 other teams. I'm gonna move him out. Russ, I know he was your teammate. Respect, but I got Chris in my top 10.
All right, so here's my thing, right? I had no problem with what Kendrick Perkins was saying or what he said. At the end of the day, some of the stuff is opinionated. Your opinion is your opinion. He has his opinion. He has his criteria. Don't make him right. Don't make him wrong. But as long as he's consistent, I think it's whatever, right? So you don't have to agree with him. And me personally, I don't agree with him. There's so many great guards at that position. I don't know. I don't care where you rank Chris Paul, but in my opinion, I think he should be top 10. No, he don't have the rings or the MVPs like some of those other point guards, but let's just be real. Some of those point guards are not two-way players like a CP3, right? At that size, too. Keep that in mind. Most people that I heard, talking about Chris Paul usually have him like the top 5 to 10 range. I never really heard like the 15 before, so I think that's new to me. But Chris Paul, I'm looking like how long he's been playing, his impact on certain teams. The Hornets getting the Clippers lit, even though they didn't win. But you had Lob City. He went to Houston. Some feel like he, if he didn't get hurt, they probably would have beat the Warriors. That's a, what if. But they was up, right? They had the opportunity. But, yeah, you had the Rockets. He went to the Suns, got them to the finals or helped get them to the finals, but they came up short. Went to the Thunder, elevated them, helped that young team out. As a point guard, he just, to me, better than guys that Perkins will probably have him in the 15 range with. Like, I'm just thinking about the skill and the resume and just being a true point guard. Like, the accolades, the stats is good. Like, second all-time in steals, and I think he's second in assists. Like, that's crazy. Still playing too, but and this is last season, but a bunch of All-NBAs and defensive teams, assist titles, steals titles. Like, it's not bad, right? And he didn't get the MVP, but he's been in MVP races. So besides the MVP and the championships, his resume is good if we're comparing it to others. So I kind of disagree with Kendrick Perkins. I understand why Perkins might have a Bob Cousy, a different era, or Russell Westbrook because of his criteria. But them dudes, man, I don't know, man. They just, I like Chris Paul, man. They not messing with Chris Paul, man. We got to stop. We got to stop this, man. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards to play the game. One of the greatest point guards that I've seen play. He's not Curry. He's not on Magic level or Zeke. But I think he should be top 10 in my opinion, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Do y'all agree with Kendrick Perkins? Do y'all think CP3 is a top 10 point guard? Maybe a top 15 point guard? Let me know, man. But yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe, man. Peace and love. Yeah, I'm out, man.
Jordan L. Sass from Superman and Lois. I just want to give a shout out to your podcast, Tunensports.